Am I the asshole my wife keeps choosing work over our baby who's the AITA? My wife, 35F, and I, 35 meters, are both highly driven. Collectively we have a doctorate, medical field, and a master's. My job is more flexible. Being in medical field I can work my hours to see my patients when I have to, but I try not to disrupt my patients' schedules, some of which are set months in advance. But I've changed my work habits since my daughter was born and cut back on my practice and changed jobs to a more family-friendly job. My wife has the same job before and after baby and has only taken more and more responsibility at her job. I'll not specify just in case, as it's a political office. We've talked about setting boundaries around baby time, over and over, and it gets better for a week at most. Lately, due to multiple staff changes, she's been working easily 80+ hours a week. We talked and she agreed from 5-7, pick up from daycare to baby bedtime, was baby time, and she can go back to work once our daughter is asleep. Remote for her is easy. Last night she was giving our daughter a bath, a rare occurrence for mom. Her work phone rang and she grabbed it and said she had to take it and walk to another part of the house. Now, to be clear, my daughter was in my view at the time and I acknowledged I was taking over, so my daughter was never at risk of drowning in the bath unattended. However, my daughter proceeded to scream for her mama to come back. We can say mama, dada and other single words. Proceeding to full nuclear meltdown. This is 15 minutes before bedtime. My daughter proceeds to go full nuclear for 45 minutes, and at one point I heard my wife from another part of the house say, "Sorry, hold on, having a hard time hearing you," and then step outside the house. Presumably because she couldn't hear over our daughter screaming, "Mama," the whole time. I did what I could and got her to bed. 30 minutes after bedtime I was laying on the floor by her crib with my hand on her chest for comfort. She was still fidgeting and intermittently crying for her mama. And I hear my wife re-enter the house. After another few minutes to make sure the baby was down, I went downstairs to confront my wife. We had a knockdown fight about barriers again and I was called an a-hole for not understanding the stress she's under. I understand this is just my side, but am I the a-hole? Edit to clarify repeat questions. Planned but faster than expected conception and birth due to low fertility expectations associated with both parties' medical diagnoses. Both agreed we wanted kids and planned to reduce workload once we had our daughter. I have done this, my wife has not. This is the primary friction in our relationship. She was diagnosed with PPD and had a history of prior depression that was managed with psychiatrist visits and anxiety medication, and we both have been active with her psychiatrist plan of care, and she was returned to just her prior level of controlled depression following 1 year of weekly PPD visits. Now 1 visit per month and low-dose anxiety, depression meds. The psychiatrist give us couples homework, and we do it. My wife has control of her workload within reason and keeps choosing to take on extra projects beyond her job requirements and boss's expectations, despite repeat agreements that we were both going to focus on our family and not our career during our child's early development. Couple counsel has been discussed but not followed through, as she agreed to cut back from work and again did not. There is no fear of her losing either of our job, as we both work in fields that are short-staffed and have much higher needs than supply. Finances are not an issue. We both like our jobs and could live and retire comfortably on a single one of our incomes. Not the asshole. The only person in 20 years who will remember your wife talking the call or working those extra hours is your daughter. Not the asshole. It sounds like she regrets having a baby. You are not the asshole, but I think your wife needs help. She's unable to cut back on her work. Perhaps ADHD? You both need to talk to her counselor. Not the asshole. 80 hours is too much for either of you to be working. It is fair to expect that you both spend an equal amount of time working and doing childcare. There is a lot of psychological research on the impact of emotional neglect on young children. Maybe you could get her a book on it. Not the asshole. It's really sad that your wife keeps promising to spend only 2 hours a day with her baby, and then she abandons even that, because she would rather be a big important deal doing whatever the hell she does. If she regrets having a baby, it's better for her to be honest and just go, because this is just going to hurt that little girl. She doesn't have time for her, so I can't imagine she's spending any time with you, either. I wonder if she would notice if neither of you were there when she came home. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my best friend's wedding because I wasn't chosen as the maid of honor? I, 26F, have been best friends with Jane, 27F, since 5th grade. We've always been inseparable, and I considered her my closest friend. Recently, Jane got engaged to her long-term BF, and I was thrilled for her. As her best friend, I naturally assumed I would be chosen as the mo for her wedding. However, when she announced her wedding party, she picked her cousin instead of me. I was, and still am, deeply hurt and couldn't hide my disappointment. I was shocked and devastated that she didn't choose me as the mo. I confronted her privately and asked her why she didn't pick me, especially considering our history and how much I've supported her throughout the years. Jane told me that her cousin, who lives far away and whom she rarely sees, needed this opportunity to bond with the family. I told her that if she couldn't see how much I deserved to be her mo, then I didn't want to be a part of her wedding at all. I even threatened not to attend the wedding altogether, just to get my point across. Well, this didn't work to my favor. She told me I was no longer a bridesmaid and could attend as a guest if I decided to end my pity party. This offended me, admittedly more than it should have. I said some less than kind things. This little tiff between us caused her to ban me from the wedding altogether. People have been blowing up my phone calling me selfish, entitled, and a bad friend for trying to make Jane's big day all about me and my hurt feelings. All that true friends would, this, that and the other. I think I have a right to be upset. I've busted my as her friend, and I feel like she threw me away. She asked me to meet her on Sunday morning for breakfast and to try to talk it out. I don't want to pretend I think I'm wrong if I wasn't. I need some insight. So, am I the asshole for being upset that I am not my close friend's mo? Edit. Since I'm getting grilled, maybe it's important to clarify some things. She went way further than I did with her comments. I made a couple low blows, but nothing compared to her telling me I wasn't being a friend. I've done a lot for her, and I accepted her fiancé into our life even though he's a giant red flag, the biggest being trying to cut her off from me so she had no one to go to, and she had the gall to tell me I wasn't enough of a friend. I've put up with a lot from her. No, I don't hate her cousin. She's nice enough, I think. She just isn't mo material. They're not that close. She still has to be monitored after being taken off of chemo, meaning less time dedicated to the wedding, and she doesn't live close by. I don't want this to sound shallow, but honestly she draws a lot of attention. She's beautiful, but she's lost a lot of weight, kind of skeleton-ish, not in a body-shaming way, and her hair is pretty clumpy. I just don't think she deserves it more than I do. If she wanted a family member for Mo, she should have picked one of her sisters or other cousins. Picking someone she doesn't know that well anymore felt deliberately offensive towards me, and honestly to every other Mo candidate in her life. You are the asshole. Let's be clear. She didn't choose her cousin because she needs the opportunity to bond with the family. She chose her cousin because she knew you would be an actual nightmare as maid of honor and make everything in her wedding about you. You proceeded to prove her right many times over. She's probably been trying to slowly back away from this friendship for some time, so you're doing her a favor. I feel like the edit makes you look worse. You are the asshole. You sound very entitled. It also sounds like you've only supported her, or busted your ass, to in some way serve yourself. I would have uninvited you too. The conversion she'll have with you is likely to see if she even wants to continue a friendship with someone who has reacted in such a way to a decision that 1. is hers to make, 2. understandable, given her explanation, and 3. probably stressful enough for her. You were asked to be a bridesmaid. You weren't thrown away. Your reaction is ridiculous. You are the asshole. You sound like you care more about a wedding title than you do with actually being her friend. They don't give chemo for immune deficiency, you dope. If you're going to make shit up, at least do a little research. Am I the asshole for refusing to share a campsite with strangers? Last weekend, my wife, 30F, and I, 30M, went on a backpacking hike in the PNW. The hike was 24 miles total, 12 in and 12 out, with the trail ending at a beautiful crystal blue lake. The trailhead was close to 3 hours from our home, so we woke up at 3:30 a.m. to be sure we'd get an early start. For those unfamiliar with overnight backpacking, the end of a hike typically has several established flat sites to pitch a tent. They are always first come first served and not reservable or numbered in any way. My wife and I started the hike around 7 a.m. and finished at 1:30 p.m. We were surprised to find that we were the first ones to complete the hike, but more surprised to find that there were only 4 sites scattered around the lake. For a hike this long, it's not uncommon to find 8 or 9 sites at the end. Regardless, we were glad we had options and chose the first spot that sat directly in front of the lake. We wondered what might happen as other people started to trickle in. Lo and behold, within the next hour a few other groups showed up and the remaining sites were claimed. Around 4 p.m., a group of 4 hikers arrived at the lake. At this point, my wife and I had been well established at our site, with our tent, cooking gear, and supplies spread out. The group of 4 hiked around the lake searching for spots and eventually returned to our site. They stood around for a few minutes before approaching us and asking if we could move our tent to share the space with them. Given the size of our site, their tents would have been no more than 6 feet from ours, and our otherwise private backpacking trip would have become a shared experience with strangers. We would have been cooking food together, gathering water together, and hearing each other's conversations. Therefore, we politely declined, and suggested they check for sites at the lower lake about a mile and a half back. They were clearly displeased by our answer, and gave us the "come on man" routine. We again declined to share the site, at which point they became upset and insisted that we move our tent to make room for both of theirs. They said it wasn't fair, that we were capitalizing on the spot. We maintained our position and they ultimately left the lake. My wife's and my backpacking philosophy has always been to set ourselves up for success by arriving early. The whole point of backpacking for us is to get away from social obligations and be in solitude. Are we the assholes? Update. I wanted to address a few things based on the comments. First, the hike was to Lake Dorothy in Snoqualmie for those inquiring. In addition, I failed to mention we also had our dog with us. Although she is very sweet and friendly, it was another element that deterred us from wanting to be around a large group. Lastly, we didn't have any concerns about being murdered, until after reading some of your scenarios. Our biggest concern was the size of the group and their rather assertive request to have us move. Had it been 1 or 2 hikers with a different temperament, it may have been different. Besides sounding like the plot of every horror movie set in the woods, you were smart not to let them share. Should have been the early bird. Through hiker here, and yeah, you are the asshole. It's just bad etiquette. There's definitely circumstances where more people won't fit, but it sounds like they definitely could have. You shouldn't expect privacy in a public, no reservation campsite. Plus all the people in the comments are paranoid. No one hikes 12 miles out into the woods with friends to find a couple to murder right next to 3 other full campsites. It's super normal to meet people on trails, and yes, eat with them and sleep near them and talk to them. It's entitled and unfriendly to not share campsites, especially when it means extra miles for other people. Not the asshole. You didn't hike in to have a slumber party with strangers. You had the best site, they wanted it. Maybe ask this question in our backpacking. You are the asshole. It would have cost you nothing to make space for other hikers. Most of the replies here are from people who have no experience backpacking and backcountry camping. You were wrong here. Am I the asshole for calling my friend's girlfriend a dumbass and telling her to lose my number? My 27M best friend is my roommate Sam, 27M, and we've been best friends since 5th grade. We went to the same college and we are basically brothers at this point. He has been dating Chloe, 28F, for the past 6 months. Chloe and I had a rocky start to our friendship and it has never recovered. When they started dating, I'd meet them out for drinks or talk to them at the house, and Chloe seemed nice and I could tell she was really making an effort. So I date casually and am not into anything serious right now. Chloe is weird about this and I think it's because of something I've experienced before with girls who date Sam. They see me as a threat. As we are close, so my opinion matters and I love to go out and socialize. I'm a liability to the relationship, been told this multiple times. 3 months ago I brought a girl home and they were in the living room. The next night a friend of mine met us out. At some point in the night Chloe pulled my friend aside and told her about me bringing the girl home and warned her. My friend told me about it and I called out Chloe. She apologized and kept apologizing for a week about it. I told her it was fine, but it was at that point I knew I couldn't trust her. I'm friendly with her still but no longer tell Sam things when she is around. So this past weekend we were planning on hanging around our pool. Chloe's friends were having a pool party and she told Sam they were going and then invited me. I told her no thank you and she asked why. I said that I was planning on hanging at our pool. She asked what was wrong with her friend's pool as it was at a house and would be exclusive. I said that isn't what I wanted and Sam could go and I'd hang by myself. Well, Chloe kept saying all her friends would be there and I should reconsider. I said her friends being there is a deterrent and isn't helping her sell. She demanded to know what I meant. At this point it was getting heated for some reason and I tried to disengage and go to my room, but she kept at it. I finally said that all her friends are married, divorced, engaged or single moms. She's not shown me one single attractive friend that doesn't have a kid yet. So no thank you, I'd prefer spending time at our pool that has those options. Not sitting around a pool with her friends talking about school districts or baby steps. During this she called me a douchebag. So I said this exactly, stop being a dumbass. You want me there so you can keep an eye on us. You want to set me up with one of your single mom friends so you'll have less to worry about and it will be easier for you relationship. You've tried to fuck with me before and I caught you. So how about you just lose my number? Okay. Cool, thanks. Left the apartment and had a nice day at our pool. Sam has reached out multiple times apologizing but wants me to do the same to Chloe. As she was upset about me calling her a dumbass. I said she needed to grow up and stop taking things personal. I'm not apologizing and this has festered for almost a week now. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. And I think she got the hint after she pushed you. What's wrong with taking no for a complete answer with some people? No means no, damn it. Not the asshole. She wants you neutralized and in a relationship with one of her friends, so you can't threaten her relationship with your friend. YTA. No one sees you as a threat to your friends' relationships. You're a bigoted aw. You see no value in women you don't want to fuck. That makes you a garbage person. You are the asshole because I can read between the lines here and you clearly don't see women as whole people. Not the asshole. She doesn't have the right to interfere in your love life. I would be frustrated, too. I don't think it would be a bad thing to apologize for calling her a dumbass, but not the rest of it. And that's not even that big of a deal anyway. So you do you.